Hi, my name is Judy and I'm the City Stitcher, and welcome to my Flosstube channel. Today is Sunday, October the 4th, so we are in our first Sunday of October and we are in the final quarter of 2020. Hard to believe. We're almost all the way through 2020. Today is quite a gray, overcast day here, so I was actually a little bit concerned about how the lighting was going to look, but at the moment we seem to be doing okay, so we're going to go with that. If you are new to my channel, thank you for stopping by and spending some time with me, and I hope that you find the topics interesting and you like what you see. For those of you that are returning, thank you for coming back and spending some time with me. You know full well what you're in for. In some cases, you know exactly what you're in for, because some of it won't be surprising at all. But if you do enjoy this, please like and subscribe. As well, also leave comments, questions. Happy to spend time delving into any questions that you've got. Scott, if you're watching, I did get your comment from a couple of videos ago, and I'm planning on discussing that in next week's episode. So the topic for this week is Let's Talk Variegated Threads Part 2, which is a little bit of a continuation from last week's episode. But we're going to follow the same format that we used in most of my episodes. We're going to talk about stitching. I'm going to show some haul, talk about a free pattern, and then we're going to talk about the topic. So that's the order. So for those of you that are watching, you can choose at which points you want to jump in or scroll fast forward to or drop off on or all that kind of stuff. And so with that, let's get started. So my stitching this week, I'm going to just say I have failed on a couple of fronts. That's just all there is to it. So I was going to try and do those test swatches of the variegated threads for the Shepherd's Bush Summer Notes that I talked about last week, because that would have tied in very nicely with my variegated thread topic for this week. Did I do that? No. Did I do any of it? No. Have I taken one stitch of those variegated threads to even pretend to do it? No. So total fail on that one. I'm okay with that. It'll be fine. Marbeck. So what did I spend my time stitching on this week? Well, big surprise. I stitched on the Marbeck Nativity. So some people are spending their time in October doing Startober. Some of them are doing Dark October stitching. So all sort of Halloween, fall related stitching. I'm doing what's known as Marbeck October, which goes along with Marbeck September and Marbeck August. Anyway, never mind that. Don't forget, if everything goes according to plan, 2021, we won't even have to say the word Marbeck. But only if I get my act together, which I didn't this week. All right, so what did I work on? The Marbeck Nativity. Working on the center panel. Not even the full center panel, still working on the bottom half. Don't forget, I still have this whole angel and like about a third of this one left to go. So there's still more up there to go. Worked on my lovely Marbeck. And you know, I had a goal last week and I talked about my goal. Did I reach my goal? No, I did not. Let me show you what I did. I did make progress. And hey, every stitch I get in here is a stitch closer to a finish. But I didn't get as much accomplished as I wanted to get accomplished, which was not so good. But we'll talk about that. So here is where I am. So my big goal for the week was that I was going to get the hay backstitched around here. And I did not get that accomplished. So there's 3 colors that are used in backstitching the hay. The third color, there's not a ton of it. But it is a cry neck, so, you know, I'll do practically anything to delay having to use that. Anyway, you'd think I'd be over it, but apparently I'm not. But so one of the colors is complete. One of the slowdowns was when I was looking at this, I said, well, when you do all of this, like, don't forget there's hay over here around your sheep. So, I mean, I'm a big color completer. I like doing my color completions, even if it, you know, causes me to not get as much accomplished as I should, rightly or wrongly. So I very swiftly took hardly any time at all and said, well, I'm just going to delay doing my back stitching and I'm going to move on and I'm going to back stitch my sheep, or I'm going to work on finishing my sheep. So last week I had started a little bit of the sheep just up here in the head, but the sheep is entirely complete now. Now it's a little bit hard to tell because I'm also going to say, again, because I'm a color completer, that some of the color in the sheep actually also is used in the headdress of the wise men over here. So actually this is part of the wise men. It's actually not part of the sheep, but it was all the same color, so I just kept going. So also in my head, I was like going, well, you can get the sheep back stitched, other than the issue is I need to stitch the wise men's face so that I can back stitch around it. And I didn't get his face accomplished, so I couldn't finish the back stitching around here, whatever. And anyway, the other thing is that, so I also got around the sheep. So I did this gray part here. Now this gray part also goes all along the bottom. It's actually sort of shadows. So again, because I did it around the sheep, started coming across here. There's still more left to go underneath the manger, but did a little bit over here. And there's actually some around the bottom of the shepherd. So anyway, so I did part of it until I finished off, you know, what I'd pulled off and etc. Kept going. So didn't get as much accomplished as I should have, wanted to, needed to be on track to. Anyway, so what I also did on the weekend, so yesterday, was I went back and I looked at where was I at the beginning of September. Because I say this to a friend of mine all the time. It's like, welcome to like week 472 of Marbeck Nativity. I'm not surprised. I feel like several of you only need to tune in about once a month and go, I see where she's at. Got it. So for my own purposes, I went back and looked, where was I at the beginning of September, so I can actually see that, feel like I've made progress. So at the beginning of September, I had most of the blue done here on the shepherd. None of the back stitching in the shepherd was done, and I think I had one color left to go. So over the course of September, I backstitched this, finished off my shepherd, got all of Joseph done, including his backstitching and that crazy Krynick that, I try to delay. Got the manger done and got a sheep done. So, okay, technically a little bit of October to get that accomplished, but I'm still counting it. This is going to be sort of, here's where I was at the beginning of October. So did get some stuff done, but there's still a lot left to go, right? So I have to do the wise men and the gold box and a sheep and the stairs. And then I have to scroll up and do an entire angel and a third of an angel. So we've got a ways to go on this. I don't know that I'm going to accomplish my goal, but tune back in next week. Let's see where we get to next week. Because next week will still be the 11th. I'll have 4 more days after that before we hit the middle of the month to see if I have any shot of reaching my goal. I really, really, really want to have all of Marbeck accomplished by the end of 2020 because I have really lovely plans for 2021. And won't it be exciting when I get to come on 2021 and talk about a different project? Wouldn't that be exciting for everybody? It would be. It'd be exciting for you. It'd be exciting for me. Wouldn't it be lovely? Okay, I just need to get this accomplished. Okay, back on track. So that's where I am. That's what I stitched this week. More to come next week. So that's all the stitching I did this week, just Marbeck. So let's talk a little bit about haul. As you know, I was doing really well at the beginning of the year, and I did really well at the beginning of the lockdown COVID. But then, of course, partway through the lockdown, when all the supply chain issues started to happen, and 12 other things were going on, and supply chain issues, I'm calling it. That's when I got the COVIDs, and that's when the stashing dam burst. And anyway, so I've been shopping more than I was planning on, but my stash is building. And then don't forget, my also plan for 2021 is to be very limited, trying to keep it. So it's not to say that there will be no shopping, because that's not like me, which is why usually some of my friends just laugh out loud when they go, It's to be very well behaved. The theme for 2021 is going to be more stitching, less stashing. That's the theme for next year, just so you know. Just like the theme for this year is Marbeck. But, so I have been taunting you with some of my stashing or acquisitions, which I have not shown, so a friend of mine was getting a little annoyed with me. So I'm doling it out slowly over time. So this is actually, when I acquired any of the things that you're going to see over the next little while is going to be up for debate because I didn't exactly keep track. I just know that I've got a pile of things that I have yet to show you. So we're going to work our way through that. So today we're going to go through a few charts. So this is a new ink circles called Reflections of Amsterdam. So, you know me, welcome to a geometric pattern with houses and ink circles and blue, slam dunk. I look at this and I go, like, I think you really need to use a Delft blue, Amsterdam, Holland. Very well known for its Delft pottery, so blue's my favorite color, so it all looks fantastic. I've been to Amsterdam, so yes. I look at these ones where she's got reflections of, reflections of Canada, reflections of New Orleans, reflections of Scotland. All of those ones I have. Anyway, so it's just to, add to the collection. And when am I going to stitch this? Anybody's guess. That's not the point. It was new. I loved it. I got it. This one is going to come as a little bit of a surprise to many of you. It's a little bit of a surprise to me too, because it's not technically me, but you'll see why. So this is Stacey Nash Primitives Halloween at Hollyberry Farm. And so Mischievous Stitches is stitching this, and she's doing a conversion on it, and I'm probably going to use her conversion, I think. So I know, surprising. It doesn't look like many of my other things, and anyway. So one of the things that drew me to this is I really like this border. Now, the called for color for this border is a really dark gray. Now, again, welcome to cameras and lighting and whatever. So I would say that in the actual pattern, if you were looking at it in real person, it actually looks quite blue. Now, blue and white around the whole border, I think is fantastic. I don't even mind the witch. I would change the smoke coming out of the cauldron to something lime greenish. I probably won't do the rip here in like this thing. I think I'll just make this into some glorious urn. Anyway, so once I make all of the Judy adjustments and change, half of the colors and a couple of other things, it'll be a Judy Halloween at Hollyberry Farm. So I'm waiting for Mischievous Stitches to release what her color conversion is, because she's changing a bunch of colors as well. Whether or not I'm really going to use all of her colors is up for debate. I'm waiting to see what she releases so I can go, maybe I like some of them, maybe not. But when I got this, again, because I like this concept of doing these all in blue and white, not dark gray and white. The color that I picked up was Mermaid's Fin by Classic Colorworks. So that's my current thought. Like I say, we'll wait and see what Mischievous Stitches is actually using on hers, and maybe it will change my mind, but this is I'm actually keeping these with the chart to remind me that that's what I think I'm doing. Always up for debate, for review when I actually go to stitch this in, I don't know what year that is, but that's not the important part, right? Okay. And then the last chart that I got is a Mary Hickmott bell pole design. So I love sweet peas. Love, 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 love them. My grandmother grew them all along her back fence at her house for as long as she was alive. And so I always think of my grandmother whenever, in any context, that I see sweet peas. And so I love them, I love them, I love them. And so I think that's really lovely. When am I stitching this? Nobody knows. That's not the point. I came across this bell pull and went, I really like that. So I got it. And sometimes it's okay just to buy things to look at the chart. And we're going to talk about that in the next, well, not the very next part, but 2 parts from now. So let's talk about the free chart. So the designer whose free charts I'm featuring this week is Brooke's Books. Now, she has quite a few charts, free charts available in a variety of styles. So my introduction to Brooke's Books was actually a number of years ago when she started on her Fairy Tale Princess line. So this is clearly just a printout from Etsy. These are 9 of the 12 that she did. So she did this as a mystery, and you know I'm not great at the mysteries. She said she was doing this fairy tale line. I think this was the first one, 1, 2, 3, and she was offering a big discount if you bought the whole set without knowing what all of them were. Now I was thrilled with 1, 2, and 3 and went, okay, screw it. I'm paying for it now. I'm taking the discount because even if I don't like all of them, it'll all work out in the end. I will have gotten my money's worth. And so love this one, love this one, love this one, couple of changes on this one, love this one, couple of changes on that one, love this one. I think I need to change a couple of colors on here. Thinking about that one. This one's really good too. Anyway, whatever. So this is the one that got me. Lots of people were not overly thrilled because they wanted them to actually look like the princesses, and I like the fact that this is like a lookbook where it's like, here's an outfit without having the actual princess, because then you can in your own head determine what the princess actually looks like. So that's 9 out of the 12, and again, only because the page didn't print out properly and I wasn't paying attention. Here are the other 3. She's currently working on a set for The Little Mermaid. And so just a couple of things about Brooke's Books. If you're buying these types of series from her, I will just say she, over the years, has had a number of health issues. And I wouldn't be surprised if she continues to have some health issues going forward. Not sure to the extent, not in the know. But it always comes up. It certainly came up with the fairy tales because she was significantly delayed getting these released. They were absolutely not released on time at all. They were very, very much delayed because of her health issues. So if you choose to buy one of her series in advance, I just want to prepare you that you need to be prepared that when she says, here's my release schedule, that it could very well not even remotely look like that release schedule and could be delayed significantly. And in the case of the Fairy Tale Princesses, I think it was up to a year longer to get them all done and out than what the original release schedule was. Now, hey, health first, safety first, I'm all over that stuff. I would have liked to have had slightly better communication about what was going on and what the real delays were going to look like, just so I knew. So my only cautionary tale to you is if you choose to buy one of her big, I'm releasing X over Y period of time, you just need to be prepared that, in my opinion, I think that you will always be facing some kind of delay to that timeline. So it's up to you. Doesn't mean she doesn't design great stuff. Doesn't mean it's not worth it, but for some people, I think they would have said I would have rather waited until everything was actually released and out and then paid my money and gotten it. And anyway, whatever. You all get to make your own decisions. You're all grown-ups. You get to do those kinds of things. Moving along to the free parts, because she has tons and tons and tons and tons of free charts that are all available right now. So if you go to the Brooks Book site. So as usual, in the links below, I'm going to put the links. She's got 3 pages of free charts. So there will be 3 separate links in the notes below that will take you to each of the pages. At the top of the page, there's always something about the Wizard of Oz. So you just have to scroll past the Wizard of Oz and get to the free charts on that particular page. I don't know why it's like that. Doesn't really matter. Just scroll down and you'll get to the other stuff. So here's a sample of the free charts that are available. So this is called, this is from her Seasonal Pantry series. This is the autumn one. Now, the nice one about this one, so this is actually the chart. This is how it comes out. But it also says here's the spring, summer, and winter one, which are also free charts available right now. So that's the Seasonal Pantry. There's also, she's got seasonal birthday cakes. So again, you can see a theme. I'm picking the fall ones. So these are the 3 fall birthday cakes, but all 12 of them are available. They're all free. So that's from the birthday cake series. She also has Advent animals, which I didn't print out the picture of that. And if you want to see those, someone who's stitching those right now, Dina from Half Stitch Cross Stitch, so I will link her channel in the notes below as well. She's working on them right now, and she's like about at number 21 or whatever, and so periodically she'll show all of them and etc. etc. She's doing it on a gray blue fabric, so you know I like that stuff. Anyway, but I will link her channel so you can always. She's lovely. She's really great to watch. If you haven't watched one of her stuff, she's a really great one to watch. And she's working on that stuff as well. And so last but not least, here is Autumn House. So same thing, she's got seasonal houses. And you know I'm a sucker for a house for the wrong reasons, whatever. So all 4 seasons are available free on her website for downloading. So as I said, there's a lot of free charts, right? So 12 birthday cakes, 4 seasonal pantries, 4 house seasons, 25 Advent animals, and more. So she's got a lot of free charts, again, of different types and different subjects and all that kind of stuff. So stop by, have a look, and you know what I always say, download the ones that you really like for sure. Download the ones that you're kind of on the fence on anyway, because you just never know if they're always going to be there. I'm a big download the free charts while they're free, whether you really love them or not, because it's easier to delete a file on your computer than to find a chart after it's no longer available. And we're going to talk about that in the very next section here. So here comes our topic for today. Let's talk variegated threads, part 2. This is a continuation from last week's topic. So Denise, I'm glad you found the topic last week helpful. Do let us know how you're doing. We'd love to know what variegated thread you're doing. And feel free to send a picture along. I'd love to see it. So I'm going to talk about, I'm going to use one of my own FFOs, and wait for it. It's actually properly FFO'd. It's actually finished, hanging on the wall in my house. So here comes all of the warnings that come along with this. So what I am about to show you is a chart that is out of print, very out of print, from a designer who all of their charts are out of print and very hard to come by. So if you ever stumble across one, for whatever, as long as it's really reasonably priced, you should probably pick it up, because somebody in the stitching community is going to want this thing, want it, because the Indigo Rose ones always come up. And so the designer's name is Indigo Rose. I have 4 charts from her, from that designer. There's one that still, it's like if I ever came across it, I would like to get it and add it to my thing. Anyway, whatever. And so the one that we're going to talk about today is called, which I'm going to be smart, take off that, is called Caron Agnes. So that's what it looks like. Now, the reason why I'm choosing this is because this chart uses 8 colors of Caron Waterlilies. So silks, all variegated to different degrees, but every single thread used in this chart is a variegated thread. There's no solid, there's no DMC, no NPI, no solid, any colored anywhere to accomplish this. So this is, it's a booklet. It's not just a leaflet, because this contains instructions on how to do all of the various stitches. So once you get in here, this entire inner section is all specialty stitches. And so the booklet provides you the instructions on how to do the stitches. So I can tell you that I bought the chart, loved it, bought the threads, kept the threads, and then, you know, periodically would haul out the chart, read, and I would literally read the chart, and then I would put it back in its box, and months would go by. And then I would look at the chart again and go, it's really beautiful, and I would haul it out and I would read the chart, and then I would put it back in the box. So I read this chart and read this chart and read this chart and loved the picture and read the chart and read the chart and read the chart. And eventually, years, as you know, it's me. Years later, I said to myself, you should just buckle down and do this thing and stop reading the chart. You've probably read it enough now that you've got the gist of it, which was true. But I have to tell you, I read the chart and 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 read the chart. Now, were these hard to do? No. Did I have to concentrate and did I have to follow the diagrams to get this accomplished? You betcha. Do I have things in here that were totally fine and I went, well, that was no problem at all? Absolutely. Were there ones where it's like, well, I got it accomplished, I didn't love it, am I ever going to try to find a way to use that particular specialty stitch again? I was like, probably no, and even if I came across it, I would probably try to find something else to do, sure. But I have done all of the specialty stitches in this chart. So again, cautionary tale, very out of print, Caron Agnes by Indigo Rose. So, what does it look like in real life? I know, hard to believe. I have a fully finished object. Sorry for the reflection. Here is my Indigo Rose. So I'm holding it this way. This is going to be my beauty shot for the screen capture. So weird pause so we can get that. Now I'm going to hold it up close just so you can see. Oh, that reflection gets there. Hard to tell. Anyway, so alphabet across the top, all sorts of things. And that reflection is not necessarily helpful, but it is what it is. So that's what it looks like. It's really lovely. I have several stitching friends who comment on it when they're over and they look at it. I have a friend who also has the pattern and is equally like me, who hauls it out and reads it and hauls it out and reads it. And I said, you know, you need to be me, and one of these days just break down and actually get it, you know, stitched, because even I pulled that one off. So again, every thread used in here is a variegated. So I pulled them out because it's gonna these are good examples of how different things can be. Sorry, excuse me. So this is Waterlilies number 26, Mardis Gras. So this is so I'm just going to haul it out. This is what I call a very variegated thread. So this is the thread that was used to do the alphabet. So this is an example of one where you'd need to be, if you were trying to go across and come back, you'd have to be really careful because some of these transitions are really noticeable, right? So this is the thread that was used to do all of the alphabet, right? So again, so one of the other tricks that I use when I'm using variegated threads, particularly on letters, is to actually stitch the letter like you would write it. Because then it actually helps you with the flow of the variegation. So if you were just pretending you were writing, if you were writing the words, it will help you get the variegated to look right. So at the end of the day, I was very happy with how my alphabet came out. So that's Mardis Gras. So I put that in the camp of, wait, I have to put it back in its bag or it's going to be, you know, a mess. You know, that's a thread that's in the camp where I go, like, it's really variegated, like with very different colors. And again, I had to sort of plan my way through that alphabet. And yes, I stitched them sort of as I wrote, but you know, it's things like, I was looking at one when I was looking at this, you know, okay, of course it's here on the bottom, like down here, like I had to plan my way through these letters to make sure that it actually looked the way I wanted it, right? So, you know, sort of did the R and came around, so you can see is the tail end of the R coming into the S, which led across the T and down, right? So I did have to plan my, you know, even though I was sort of doing the way a letter is written, I still kind of had to plan my way through this to make sure that where things were ending and where I was starting in my thread choice sort of provided continuity as I was going through that. So that's one color. So another color, which is more where I go, like it's a tone on tonal. So it's very tonally similar. It's not like Mardis Gras where you've got a blue and a purple and a magenta and a green. So this is Waterlilies 67 Celadon, right? So this is all shades of green, right? So the difference between crossing each individual stitch is you will absolutely definitively see the variegation as you're going through these. Whereas if you chose to sort of go across and come back, would make it more, I'm going to pick two of these strands. And again, we talked about this last week where it gives you more of that tweeding effect. So there's an example of those two. So it won't necessarily, it will just muddy up the individual colors, right? So when you separate them, you know, one of them is the lighter lime green and one of them is the darker green. And so if you did the individual stitches, you'd be able to see the lighter green versus the darker green. Whereas if you put them together, so bottom leg one color, top color the other, it's going to give you, it's going to look more blended, which is what I call tweeding. So again, but it's your piece. There's no cross stitch police. You do what makes you happy. You do the stitching that gives you the effect that you are looking for. So where was this used in Caron Agnes? Sorry, it has to go back in the bag, so no mess. And it gets with the right tag. So the Celadon was used, so up in this outer border. So it's actually like this band that goes from here and down and then back up, right? So I, of course, crossed each stitch as I went because I wanted to achieve that variegation as I went through these bands. And so it's in this outer band all along here. It is also used in sort of in these corners. The green here, that's also Celadon. And it's also done on this interior border here. Okay, so that's Celadon. Now, I'm actually gonna, so this outer border here, so Celadon is sort of top, bottom, bottom, top. This, the other part of that, is Waterlilies Distant Hills, which is 153. But again, so this is a variegated thread that is distinctly, which I would call very variegated, because it is a combination of purple and green, right? So again, if you were to combine those, you might be happy with it, you might not be happy with it. Again, it depends on how you're using it. For me, combining it I wouldn't enjoy that for this particular this colorway. And again, not surprisingly, because it's me, you know, you can see that as you come along here. So I crossed every stitch as I was coming because it gives you this, you know, you can see those tonal changes from the green into the purple, you know, as it's being used in that outer border. That's Distant Hills. Let's talk about one of the more surprising colors that I actually agreed to use in my piece. It's called Golden Grains. Because you know how I feel about browns and browns and yellows and those colors. So this is number 176. So I've only pulled out the Waterlilies version of this. So again, so this is a very tone-on-tone color. So it depends on, you know, whether you want to see the variegation as you're going through it or whether you're wanting to achieve. This is one where you could easily achieve a tweeding effect because it's very tonal, right? Darker and lighter, all within the same color family. So your choice. And in Caron Agnes, you actually end up using both the Waterlilies in Golden Grains as well as the Wildflower in Golden Grains, which I actually did use Golden Grains. I know, hard to believe. But I used it, you need that Wildflowers because you use it to achieve the hardanger in these four corner spots. So lots of people get wigged out about hardanger. I've done hardanger on a number of pieces. Don't get wigged out about it. Do you need to be careful when you're doing hardanger? Yes, you do. You need to be careful and you need to pay attention. So it's not for the, you know, if you're trying to go like, I just need to come home, it's been a stressful day and I need to do some stitching. Hardanger is probably not the best way to go. There's probably other stitching that can get you there. But don't be afraid of hardanger. Read the instructions, talk to somebody. My answer is if I can do it, you can do it. So again, so there's hardangers in those four corners, and that's the primary spot where the Golden Grains is used in a combination of the Waterlilies and the Wildflowers. I feel like I've now put this upside down. There we go. Welcome to Geometric. This way? No, wait. This is the correct way. Don't worry, when it goes back on the wall, A is at the top and I'll know what to do. So just, I'll briefly look at it, show you a couple of the other colors. So this is Waterlilies Ambrosia. So again, so this is another one where, as far as I call, it's got very distinct colors in here, right? So if you were to sort of go over and come back, your chances of getting quite a muddy look, again, it depends on the look that you're aiming for your piece. You know, because it's got green and peach and pale yellow and pinks, right? So it's quite variegated. Sorry, it's got to go back in its bag or it's going to be a disaster at the end. And Ambrosia in the real piece is used, wait, I had it here. So for example, so it's used in this piece here. So again, given the specialty stitches, did I have to figure out how I wanted to use that particular water lilies to achieve an effect? Yes. Only because I don't do well with the I call it the whatever comes, just it'll be what it is. I don't do well with that. Same thing. I don't do well with a mystery. Tell me what the thing is. So, you know, so it was used in here. So I looked at how variegated it was, how it was coming off of my particular skein, and then sort of plotted my way as to where I was going to start my stitches, which end of the thread I was going to start with to achieve an effect. So, you know, do you have to do that? If you've got this pattern, do you have to do that? No. It's just me. That's how, this was my piece. I was stitching it for me. And so when I was looking at how these variegated threads were being used in this particular piece, I figured out the way that was going to make me happy. Because this was for me, it's going to stay in my home. I wanted to make sure that I looked at it and went, I really love that. And I really do love this. I think it turned out fantastic. I was very, very pleased with this. See, and I even got it, you know, fully finished, which is saying a lot, as you know. So just a couple of the other colors, just to show you. So this is Water Lilies Redwood. Again, so I call this sort of tonally similar, you know, family tones. Not highly, not the ones where I go, it's highly variegated. It's not like it's green and purple and red and blue. So again, so that's Water Lilies 173 Redwood. And then this one is Water Lilies Grape. So this is number 158. Now, if you can't remember all of those things and you didn't have your piece of paper ready, that's okay. I will actually put the Water Lilies colors and numbers in the notes below. So that's quite nice. I like that one. Again, very tonal, variegated, etc. So there's actually one color that I don't have here, which I laughed at because I said to a friend, I was like, it's really weird. It's not in the spot where it should be. And she went, isn't that with your Choose Joy pattern that you're doing from May? And I went, oh, right. That's right. I did do that. So the one that I don't have here to show you because it's with some other project is, so it's called Polar Ice, and it's the one that is the blue. So it's used in that one. It's used down here. So the blue is Water Lilies Polar Ice. So again, just one more up close. Sorry for the glare. In the hallway where this piece is located, it looks just fine. But there you go. So one, it also goes to show you that I am capable of actually fully finishing things. I know, not all the time, and not for quite some time, but never mind that. So this is Caron Agnes by Indigo Rose, which is very, very out of print. So sorry about that if any of you are going like, oh my goodness, that's awesome. Who knows? You never know where you're going to stumble across things. You can always save a search on eBay, stash unload. The other pattern that gets talked about a lot by Indigo Rose is the designer who did, she did a Desiderata pattern, which is lovely, 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 lovely. Do I have that pattern? Yes, I do. Do I have the threads to do that pattern? Yes, I do. Have I started that pattern? Of course not. Do I know when I'm going to start that pattern? Of course not. But this is also a part where I go, this is why, you know, I get hung up on the patterns and stuff like that, where it's like, I'm very grateful that I bought Caron Agnes, even though it took me years and years and years and years and years and years before I actually stitched it. Because I'm quite sure by the time I stitched it, it was out of print by then. The Desiderata, I'm very grateful I bought that when I saw it and I liked it, because it is really out of print. And the Crafty Curator stitched it recently, like finished it in the last 12 months, and people have just gone like, how do I get my hands on that? And the answer is the pattern's really out of print. So there's a ton of people that are out there trying to find the Desiderata pattern. I haven't seen as much chatter about Caron Agnes, but as far to my knowledge, all of the Indigo Rose charts are out of print and hard to come by. So if you stumble across one and you even remotely like it, I would get it, because you may never be able to see it again. All right. So that is my Variegated Threads Part 2. I hope you enjoyed that. And as I said before, Scott, I did get your question, and we'll be chatting about it next week. Again, if you have any questions, comments, things you'd like me to address, feel free to pop them in a comment down below. I'm more than happy to take those, and it too could become a topic for one of these weeks. And with that, I hope you've had a good week. I hope you're going to have a good week. I hope you find some time to do some stitching, and that you find enjoyment and some calm with your stitching. And I hope that everybody is staying safe and healthy. Have a good week, guys.